Do you remember that episode, or have you seen that episode where currency was exactly where it was based on social acceptance?
Yes.
And as you said yes, and as you smiled, so people that poor people that didn't brush their teeth, had bad breath, or if your teeth just suck, you're looked at as just poor. Literally, you're physically and as far as your monetary value, you're just poor. Yeah, really, it's crazy that those types of things in Black Mirror are happening. There's a reason why they're out there.
Because it's not far-fetched anymore.
It's not.
All of it's not far-fetched. And I remember watching that episode because you'd be walking and people, it's almost like this now. Everyone's buried in their phone.
Yep.
And they would look at their profile and they would pass somebody and throw a smile and you see like two credits hit you. Boop, yeah. Or someone's walking and they're just like upset or mad and they go down 2 credits. Everything you do matters.
Yeah.
But it's like that form of control. What I want to see on here is if you think that's a good idea, you got something coming. Yeah. That's a terrible idea. Yeah. You don't want the government to tell you can't get your money out. That is your money that you put in the time and hours away from home to support your family and do well and build a dream. Mm-hmm. And now the government's saying, you know what? You don't get to have that today.
Right.
Now
we'll tell you what you
can. And if that's not a red flag for people right now, what's happening in our world, to have one of the second largest banks collapse should have been already a warning sign to all of you. Mm-hmm. And now that the fact that there's what I read was 186 to 200 more, like you said, that are on the verge of collapsing. Mm-hmm. That should be another huge warning sign to people that there's a lot of hard times to come. If we can't control our banking system, the banks collapse. You need to think about that. Jordan made a good point. How do you get your money? Through the banking system. How do you get a loan to buy a home? Your banking system. How do you get a loan for your car? Banking system. Right. If we didn't have the banking system, you ain't buying shit.
Nope.
Straight up. That means our markets, from mom and pop shops to our groceries to everything where we go, they're not going to have the money to be where they're at and get the front the groceries and pay the bills to have that building. So now, where are you going to go to get your groceries? Where are you going to go to get your gas if the banking system fails? That means there's no fucking money. Nothing. There's no transactions happening. So I keep trying to tell people, like, hey, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but if you look at the signs are telling you hard times are coming. Mm-hmm. Like, we are not going to evade that. It's going to hit, whether it's going to be now, a few months from now, or next year. Everything's lining up. Look at the inflation, how high it is. I mean, my God, did you see how many people Google and Facebook? I almost said MySpace, dude. I went way back. Anyways, Google. Google, Facebook, it was Instagram. They're saying, dude, all of them are laying off 200,000 more workers, or 20,000 to 40,000 more workers.
Wow.
Now, again, people, open your eyes. If that's not a warning sign that the major tech companies are laying people off, mm-hmm. and continue to lay more and more, and your banking systems are failing, you better start preparing yourself, because hard times are coming.
And
straight up,
dude, yeah, all of it above, yes. I mean, everything is so. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of pieces of what you just said, but yeah, the banking system is one of them. I want to touch on the social credit score, and just a idea to think about is that. If, let's say you like the idea, like it seems like I was saying, like, hey, dude, if you're a good person, I treat people nice, pay my taxes, mm-hmm. then I should be able to do what I want, right? If the system has control of that wealth distribution within how is deemed what is good with a credit score, think about this. Look at all of our utility costs. Electricity, water, gas. We're all paying fucking triple right now.
Yeah,
right?
ridiculous. Mm.
And you're crazy to think it's going to go back because it's not. You know why? Because we're all paying it right now.
Yeah.
The system doesn't auto-check itself and go back into the time where it was somewhat more affordable, which at that time you can make the argument that it's not.
Right.
So it's the same. It's just going to be the same premise. We will constantly walk into the same situation over and over and over again because the system, in my opinion, it's corrupt because it's self-interest that pushes things. There may be outliers, and I've said this on here a bunch of times. It's not every single person. There are good people in top positions. I really feel it. But the problem is those people can't stop everything from happening. So if this does happen, let's say 100 years from now, there are people having to deal with just cryptocurrency and fucking digital scoring on how you live your life. How much do you think that fucking cost item is going to be? You know, let's say it's 100 points.
Right.
You know, let's say it's not 100,000 points, dude, and you make 5 points a day.
Yep.
You have no control of that shit at that point anymore, other than just what we do now. It's the same premise. It's just a different form of what we're constantly doing already. So, and again, I'm not saying our system right now is great. It's clearly not. Our ability to print money with no regard and sell off debt and bonds and things and eat shit. I mean, what's super funny is that China is actually fucking in an economic crisis themselves.
Which is crazy.
Which is crazy because they own
everybody.
Debt. They own our debt.
They own
Our debt,
almost
exactly.
40% of our nation's debt.
Yeah.
40% that they have a piece of that. So it's like they could eat shit. I mean, I don't know if you ever seen those videos where it's like they have literally like these skyscrapers in cities that were all sold from the government to people. Like you can only purchase them under these stipulations, whatever. But nobody lived in them.
They're empty.
There were these ghost cities. Like I'm talking like fucking 80-story like apartment complexes. And
Nobody's in them.
No one's in.
There's
no one
nobody
lives
in.
there
I saw a
because they
whole
can't-
thing on that.
Yeah, it's fucking bizarre, dude. And there was a video I was watching where they demoed 3 of them because like everyone went under that owned all the pieces of them, which supposedly were individual units owned. So it wasn't like a corporation just bought a whole building. Right. So it's basically like if you're like, hey, Evan, you made enough money and, you know, you can only buy, you can invest in one of these. You finally got to this point. You're like, sick.
Yeah.
But then they're like, but you can't live there for like 5 years. You're going to have to pay a certain rate and we have, you know, ownership of it. I mean, like, and I'm not an expert at this. I don't know what the deals cost, but what I'm saying is that when the government has that strong of a grip on everything,
Right.
they can do what they want to do.
Yep.
Right.
And I think that there's so many examples of it, and it's hard not to talk about it without feeling like, I mean, I feel like I sound crazy right now. So, you know, but then if I talk to someone who has zero interest in it, they definitely think I'm a crazy person. You know what I mean? But it's just like, you gotta wake up a little bit. You gotta open your eyes. You gotta make some sound decisions and be smart.
Yeah.
And don't feel like, the last thing you should do is feel like when you wake up in the morning, like everything's going to be okay because the government's got your back. You know? I mean, that's,
Wow.
and I feel like that's the truth.
Yeah.
You know, there was a quote from Reagan that said something along those lines, but and I don't want to paraphrase it, but it's something similar to that. It's like you should.